don't need to see him every time I turn on my TV, especially in roles he's not really suited to. Just like Vanessa Kirby, he's a little too old to be playing Reed Richards at 49, but on the plus side...
He's 49? Holy crap. What's going on, Nova Squad? Welcome back to the channel. So, by this time, I'm pretty sure you guys have seen the... Ooh, I ran through that thing. Golly. What's going on, the Nova Squad? Welcome back to the channel. So, pretty sure all of you guys actually had seen the new Fantastic Four teaser trailer. And honestly though, for real, I'm not really... I'm not disappointed. It actually looks really good. I do like the whole like 60s and 70s aesthetics and the futuristic look, whatever and such. But right at the same time, in the back of my mind, it's just like, you gotta remember, this is the new version of Marvel trying to push out a propaganda, and also how like they've been like rushing all of these projects, and due to the fact that there's so much rumor about the Captain America new Great World is gonna be kind of like ass, I've heard. So this video is gonna be called Fantastic Four: A New Beginning, or Too Little Too Late. This video is by the Critical Drinker and such. I've actually really like his takes on everything. Now a lot of things I don't really, well, I can't say a lot of things. Some things I don't actually agree on, but there's a lot of things you could probably like hear or understand on what he has to say and everything. So without further ado, let's get right into it.
It's tough to think of a more quintessential group of superheroes than the Fantastic Four, with their disparate sets of powers and abilities balanced against their interpersonal dramas and rivalries, their iconic blue uniforms, and the equally iconic villains they were pitted against. As Marvel's first family, they really do epitomize that classic 1960s comic book era of optimism, progress, and confidence. So it's kind of weird that Hollywood has made such a complete mess of bringing them to the big screen. From the cheesy Roger Corman movie in the 90s that was made purely to retain the rights to the characters, without telling any of the actors by the way, to the Tim Story movies from the 2000s that couldn't seem to decide if they wanted to be cool, serious and edgy, or goofy, disposable popcorn flicks, and so tried to do both at the same time with predictable results. Not to mention the most baffling interpretation of Galactus that the human...
Now I'm not gonna lie. As a kid, I thought that was like one of the most coolest things ever. But then as soon as I got an order, and then I realized who that big thing was, Galactus, I was like, okay, that's just like so off, man, for real.
Or goofy, disposable popcorn flicks, and so tried to do both at the same time with predictable results. Not to mention the most baffling interpretation of Galactus that the human mind could possibly conceive.
What the hell is even that?
And finally, the tragically but also unintentionally hilarious Fant Four Stick from 2015, a misguided attempt to turn the bright and optimistic superhero team into some dark and edgy story of body horror and psychological trauma, made by a man who openly professed to hate in comic book movies, and who was, by all accounts, such an incompetent bellend on set that someone else had to finish his own movie for him. And in the 10 years since the Fant Four Stick debacle, he's made a grand total of one movie, which...
No, like, I ain't gonna lie. I remember when the first time that version of the Fantastic Four came out, I had to be in college up in New York, and I remember seeing it then. Me and my buddies, we were like so into like anime and like comics and like superheroes. But then when we seen that version of, you know, the Fantastic Four, and they changed the fundamental structure of Doctor Doom, I was just like, what is even in this crap? Like, you got the whole team hating each other. Now, granted, it was written in a certain way, but then like it was just like, okay, for example, the Reed Richards origin story about how his father actually had approved of what he was doing, as far as like wanting him to, like, you know, make certain inventions, and then I noticed how bright his kid was. But like in that movie, if I can recall, his dad hated him so much. It was like they were wanting to write that Reed Richards as like the it's called again, in the Ultimate Universe, how like he became I forget his name, but it's the one when he had the big ass head in the back of his a dome, whatever. But now, man, like it just like I love comic accurate things. Now I understand that was part of the comics, but like not in the 616 universe. So I don't know. I just mean
competent bellend on set that someone else had to finish his own movie for him. And in the 10 years since the Fant Four Stick debacle, he's made a grand total of 1 movie, which sucked. All of this is to say that the Fantastic Four kind of failed to ride the whole cinematic superhero wave, either coming too early before the genre had properly matured, or trying to muscle their way in at the peak of popularity with a rushed and poorly made product. But what's a difference a decade and a major corporate acquisition makes? And now here we are. The Fantastic Four have come back to Marvel after more than 30 years in the wilderness. Ironically enough, they might actually be facing the opposite problem now, finally figuring out how to make the IP work on the big screen, only to realise they're 10 years too late. The wave has passed and people just aren't that interested anymore. But I'll come back to that one later. Believe that. Anyway, all this bullshit brings me to the first teaser trailer for the new Fantastic Four movie, First Steps. Because this is the first step towards rebuilding the MCU, I guess.
Now, I think the title meaning the first steps because they actually had mentioned that Nathaniel Richards is going to be in this movie. So I'm guessing that First Steps title is like hinted as him being part of the movie, which he is like really powerful though. Now, correct me if I'm like saying his name wrong because it's either Nathaniel or it's the other one. But it's the one that actually like creates like pocket realities, I think.
So what do I actually think about it? Well, I kind of like it.
Really?
For a start, it's set in an alternate 1960s style retro-futuristic universe, because I guess Marvel aren't quite ready to admit that the whole multiverse thing was their worst idea since trying to build Captain Marvel as the new face of the MCU.
Yeah. I ain't gonna lie.
You know, I wonder what the hell Brie Larson's even up to these days.
What is she doing? Brie Larson... Elektra opens in London, West End, February.
Oh, okay. Good luck with that one, Brie.
It's Hollywood, baby.
But it does allow the film to avoid all the MCU baggage and the expectations and the ridiculously convoluted storylines that have bogged down every major project in recent years. It feels like kind of a fresh start somehow, like the entire IP is going back to its roots, back to a
totally
simpler, more innocent and optimistic time before all the bad stuff. And I have to admit, I was liking what I saw. I liked the charmingly earnest, old-fashioned intro to the team. No quippy one-liners that feel like they're desperately trying to emulate mid-2000s Joss Whedon. No gratingly obnoxious girl bosses putting the guys in their place. No sky beams and armies of disposable enemies to fight, and brain-damagingly over-the-top CGI. I like the focus on the Fantastic Four as a family unit, even if it does come across as slightly heavy-handed at times. Like I almost expected Vin Diesel to pop up with a bottle of Corona and start toasting La Familia. I like the retro-futuristic technology and the cityscapes and the cars with fins on them. Just like the comics, it's a positive and maybe slightly innocent 1960s vision of what the future might hold for humanity. You know, instead of the horrifying dystopia we actually live in. I like the fact that Marvel seemed to have fully embraced the look and feel of the original comics, from the bright blue outfits to Galactus and his massive fucking head, all the way down to the Thing's character design, rather than trying to reshape them into something cooler and slicker to appeal to modern audiences.
Now, I do agree though, I do love the way the Thing looks, because like I've always like, okay, so in the one Fantastic Four movie, it was part 1 and 2 with Chris Evans as the Human Torch. As a kid, I liked the way the Thing looked. But then, like, as soon as I got older, and then I read the comments on how accurate he actually looked, he was the size of the Hulk. He was close to be strong, like a close second towards the Hulk, and he had that eyebrow going on. Because I think what it is, Marvel had really found out through Deadpool and Wolverine, when you go to comic accurate looking characters, it works. Because like I know back in the day they had said, oh, having the different colors, it will pop out. It wouldn't really it wouldn't look too good on camera. Which I find it kind of BS because like back in the X-Men, the first X-Men back in the 20, back in like the early 2000s, they had the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. He had like light red and blue suits, and it looked good on screen. So having that as an excuse, not having the actual comic book colors and everything, it doesn't really make any sense to me. But now, since Deadpool had came out like showing the comic accurate suit of Wolverine, which it was at least 5 of them showed in the actual movie, and people loved it. They digged it, especially having his cowl, his mask. Come on, like bring the comic accurate suits back because it makes it look good. Like stop trying to push this whole propaganda stuff, and then like it just like yeah.
And by that, I don't mean modern audiences. I mean people whose only experience with comic book characters with all their weird and wonderful shapes and sizes and outlandish designs is whatever sanitized, toned down, focus-tested corporate sludge that Marvel decided to shit out in recent years. These are all positive changes. I don't know if any of them will actually carry over to the final movie, but for the time being at least, it does give me some kind of hope that maybe Marvel are learning from past mistakes.
Not a great plan.
That being said, there are a few minor things about this teaser that jumped out at me, and not in a good way, like when you jump out from a closet wearing a hockey mask while your significant other is passing by at the top of the stairs, and then come up with a completely plausible explanation for why they tripped and fell to their death.
That's crazy.
The first issue is the casting. Sue Storm in the comics is supposed to be in like her mid-20s, and even the Josh Trank version adhered to that. Well, Vanessa Kirby is 38 years old now, and no offense to her, but well, she definitely looks it. I can't say I was exactly loving this dialogue from The Thing either. Like, considering how much time the teaser devotes to it, I kept thinking it was building to some absolutely killer payoff. But nope.
I want to add a couple cloves of garlic. Not because it's not delicious, I just want to add a little bit of zip.
In fact, I'm not even sure if the movie thinks it's supposed to be funny, or if it's just meant to be some chill slice of life segment for the four. Either way, it felt kind of tedious and didn't really tell me much about anyone involved, and so I kept wondering, why is this even in the trailer? It's become a meme at this point that any new high-profile project seems to have an obligatory role for Pedro Pascal, like he's determined to be in every film and TV production in Hollywood. But
now, I ain't gonna lie, like casting Pascal as Reed Richards, I don't see it, honestly, because like in my own opinion, I really wanted the guy that played Jim in The Office, like he was a fan cast, like we all wanted him being the Reed Richards, and then like him being in what was that one movie called, Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, like. Yeah, he was a dumb version of Reed because how are you gonna tell the bad guy what the other person can do, and then all of a sudden you just literally just off your own comrade. But anyway, look, Pedro Pascal, he is a great actor, but as far as him being a Reed Richards, I don't see it until otherwise. Now, the lady who was playing that Sue Storm, I believe it is perfect. It's just like I just don't see her with him. Johnny Storm, he looks like Sue Storm, and then he looks like a Johnny Storm, because at first I didn't really see it until recently. And the thing, and I this is only my humble opinion, I think the reason why they showed that teaser of the Thing because they want to show the humanity side of him, like as far as like making him look like he's having the robot feel like he's human and such, like how he sees himself as a monster 24/7, but he just want to be feel and be looked at as human. So that's why I think okay, I know I'm actually all over the place, but what I'm saying is like he's trying to project to the robot of what he wants people to see him as. as a person, being kind, being gentle, whatever and such. So that's how I feel
It's
about
become a meme at this point that any new high-profile project seems to have an obligatory role for Pedro Pascal, like he's determined to be in every film and TV production in Hollywood. But like most memes, there's also a grain of truth in there somewhere. I mean, I can't exactly blame the guy for enjoying his success after slogging away for years in minor roles, but well, there's definitely an element of Pascal fatigue creeping in these days. He's a good actor and everything, but holy shit, I don't need to see him every time I turn on my TV, especially in roles he's not really suited to. Just like Vanessa Kirby, he's a little too old to be playing Reed Richards at 49, but on the plus side,
He's
I think a
49?
slightly
Holy
geeky
crap.
character like this fits his sensibilities better than trying to market him as some rugged, grizzled tough guy. In terms of the movie's box office prospects, I have absolutely no idea with this one. It's definitely being built up as the centerpiece of Marvel's lineup this year because let's be honest, Captain America's practically a lost cause at this point, and nobody's going to give much of a shit about Thunderbolts, so this movie is where they need to win, and win big. And I just don't know if it can deliver on those expectations. From what I've heard, Marvel have finally realised just how badly they've fucked up the MCU, and have spent a lot of the past couple of years trying to course correct behind the scenes. And if I'm not mistaken, Fantastic Four might just represent the first steps in this new creative direction.
Right.
That's nice and all, but I can't help wondering if there's going to be enough of an audience left to appreciate it. Like, even the most die-hard Marvel fan would have to admit the franchise isn't exactly the cultural and financial juggernaut that it used to be, and aside from Deadpool and Wolverine, it's been churning out mostly flops and underperformers for years. Add to this a growing boredom with formulaic, cookie-cutter superhero movies, and you've got all the ingredients for a film that isn't going to be nearly as big a deal as Marvel are trying to make it, especially when it's going more or less head-to-head with another major superhero movie from DC, a film that's likely to cannibalize a lot of its audience. I don't know, man, I don't really want this one to fail, because if it does represent a change of creative direction for Marvel, then I'd like to see that change pay off. But at the same time, I'm not convinced it's going to be the start of a new golden age for the genre either. Marvel are gambling big time on this one, and right now, I don't particularly like their chances. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
It's not like he is, just saying things out of his behind, whatever. Because like it's more of like I don't want to loosely say PTSD because PTSD is not actually a joke, but it's just like you are used to seeing something really great and then comes onto you. Like, as far as like you growing up loving these characters and then you feel like you are, feeling the family orientation through these particular characters, especially the Fantastic Four. And it's been flop after flop. Because like, yes, Fantastic Four was the first family that actually had integrated in the Marvel comics. It was them, the X-Men, and then it was the Avengers. Like literally the Avengers up in the Marvel comics were like basically like rejects, honestly. But then they made them so great, whatever and such, which is nothing wrong with that in my opinion. But I really hope that like they can learn and understand and then create just a great movie instead of just like pushing propaganda, in my opinion. But yeah, that's all I got on this video. So if you guys really enjoyed this reaction today, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and share. Let me know in the comment section down below what you should react to next. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, my name is Russell, and I'll see you guys next episode. Peace.